before humanity built empires, before philosophy shaped civilizations, before the ancient world became myth. There were stories whispered beneath temple fires, stories carved into forgotten stone, stories carried across generations by gods, and among all divine figures of the ancient world, few were as mysterious as Hermes, the messenger of Olympus, the guide of souls, the keeper of hidden wisdom, a god capable of crossing worlds, walking freely between heaven, earth, and the underworld itself. But Hermes was never merely a messenger. Across centuries, his image became associated with secret knowledge, alchemy, sacred transformation, and the mysteries of human consciousness. Who was Hermes, and why has his symbolism survived for thousands of years? According to ancient Greek mythology, Hermes was born in secrecy. His mother, Maia, was one of the 7 daughters of Atlas. She lived hidden inside a sacred cave, far from Olympus. There, away from the eyes of gods and men, Zeus visited her in silence. And from that union, Hermes was born. But, unlike ordinary children, Hermes revealed his extraordinary nature almost immediately. The legends say that on the very first day of his life, the infant god escaped his cradle. He wandered beyond the cave, crossing forests and mountains alone, and before the sun had set, Hermes committed his first great act of deception. He stole the sacred cattle of Apollo, the god of music, light, and prophecy. To hide his tracks, Hermes walked the cattle backwards across the earth, confusing anyone who tried to follow him. Even as a child, Hermes possessed extraordinary intelligence, charm, creativity, and trickery. When Apollo eventually discovered the theft, Hermes did something unexpected. Using a tortoise shell, he invented the first lyre, and with music, he transformed conflict into peace. Apollo was so fascinated by the instrument that he forgave Hermes, and from that moment, Hermes earned his place among the Olympian gods. Hermes was unlike any other god of Olympus. He was not the strongest, not the wisest, not the god of war, nor the ruler of the seas. Hermes represented something far more complex: movement, transformation, boundaries, and chaos. In ancient myths, Hermes became known as the divine trickster, a figure who crossed limits, broke rules, and challenged order itself. But the trickster was never simply evil. In many ancient cultures, the trickster represents change, the force that disrupts stagnation, the energy that forces humanity to evolve. Hermes moved freely between opposites, between gods and mortals, between truth and deception, between civilization and wilderness, even between life and death. Unlike other Olympian gods, Hermes was deeply connected to humanity. He protected travelers, merchants, wanderers, thieves, and those who lived between worlds. To the Greeks, roads themselves were sacred to Hermes. Stone pillars called herms were placed along paths, crossroads, and borders. These symbols reminded travelers that every journey carried uncertainty, and that transformation often begins the moment we leave what is familiar. Hermes was also a master of language, of persuasion, of hidden meanings. He understood that words themselves could shape reality. And, perhaps, that is why Hermes survived, far beyond ancient Greece, because the archetype he represented still exists inside the human mind. Throughout ancient art, Hermes could always be recognized by the symbols he carried. Each object represented something deeper than mythology alone. The most famous was the Caduceus, a staff entwined by two serpents rising together toward the heavens. To many civilizations, serpents symbolize transformation, death, rebirth, hidden wisdom, the balance between opposing forces, light and darkness, chaos and order, spirit and matter. The two serpents, moving in harmony, became a symbol of equilibrium, of awakened consciousness, and of sacred knowledge. Above the staff, wings emerged, representing transcendence, movement, and the ability to cross between worlds. Over time, the Caduceus became associated with alchemy, mysticism, and esoteric traditions. Even today, its image continues to appear within medicine, spiritual symbolism, and hidden societies. Hermes also wore winged sandals, known as lyre. These sacred sandals allowed him to travel effortlessly between heaven, earth, and the underworld. To the ancients, this represented far more than speed. It symbolized freedom, the liberation from ordinary limitations. Hermes also carried a winged helmet, a symbol of divine intellect, perception, and higher awareness. Together, these symbols transformed Hermes into something greater than a mythological figure. He became an archetype, the eternal messenger, the bridge between worlds, seen and unseen. As centuries passed, Hermes evolved far beyond Greek mythology. In the ancient world, a mysterious figure emerged, known as Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes the thrice great. Part god, part philosopher, part cosmic teacher, many historians believe Hermes Trismegistus was born from the fusion between the Greek Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth, the deity of wisdom, writing, magic, and sacred knowledge. From this union, an entirely new tradition emerged: Hermeticism, a spiritual philosophy that would influence alchemy, mysticism, esoteric orders, and even the foundations of modern spirituality. Ancient Hermetic texts described a universe governed by hidden laws, invisible principles connecting the human mind to the cosmos itself. Among these teachings, one phrase survived through thousands of years: as above, so below. A simple sentence, yet one of the most influential ideas in occult philosophy. The belief that the universe reflects itself across all levels of existence, that the star, the soul, nature, and consciousness are all interconnected. Hermes Trismegistus became associated with secret wisdom, alchemy, transformation, and the pursuit of enlightenment. But ancient alchemy was never only about gold. To many initiates, it symbolized the transformation of the self, the purification of the human soul, the journey from ignorance to awakening. For this reason, Hermes became more than mythology. He became a symbol of hidden knowledge itself, the eternal seeker, the guardian of sacred mysteries. And even today, his influence continues to echo through philosophy, psychology, spirituality, and the search for meaning. As centuries passed, Hermes evolved far beyond Greek mythology. In the ancient world, a mysterious figure emerged, known as Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes the thrice great. Part god, part philosopher, part cosmic teacher, many historians believe Hermes Trismegistus was born from the fusion between the Greek Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth, the deity of wisdom, writing, magic, and sacred knowledge. From this union, an entirely new tradition emerged, Hermeticism, a spiritual philosophy that would influence alchemy, mysticism, esoteric orders, and even the foundations of modern spirituality. Ancient Hermetic texts described a universe governed by hidden laws, invisible principles connecting the human mind to the cosmos itself. Among these teachings, one phrase survived through thousands of years: as above, so below. A simple sentence, yet one of the most influential ideas in occult philosophy. The belief that the universe reflects itself across all levels of existence, that the star, the soul, nature, and consciousness are all interconnected. Hermes Trismegistus became associated with secret wisdom, alchemy, transformation, and the pursuit of enlightenment. But ancient alchemy was never only about gold. To many initiates, it symbolized the transformation of the self, the purification of the human soul, the journey from ignorance to awakening. For this reason, Hermes became more than mythology. He became a symbol of hidden knowledge itself, the eternal seeker, the guardian of sacred mysteries. And even today, his influence continues to echo through philosophy, psychology, spirituality, and the search for meaning. Perhaps the ancient myths never truly disappeared. Perhaps they simply changed form, hidden within symbols, dreams, and forgotten stories. The old gods continue to whisper across time, and among them, Hermes remains, the eternal messenger, the guide between worlds, the keeper of hidden wisdom, a reminder that every journey into mystery is also a journey into ourselves. And perhaps the greatest secrets of humanity were never lost, only forgotten. Which aspect of Hermes surprised you the most? The messenger, the trickster, or the guide between worlds? Share your thoughts below.